Hello everyone, welcome to What's Up in the Sky for November 2021. For this month, me, Dr. Derek Lim, will be your host. Due to some unforeseen technical difficulties, Mr. Chun Kiat Lim and Grace Lee are unable to join us for this month's What's Up in the Sky session. However, we do hope that we can sort out the technical difficulties and they will be able to rejoin us in the future episodes. The What's Up in the Sky program is brought to you by the Astronomical Society of Penang. We have a new website, astronomicalsocietyofpenang.com. On the website, you will be able to see the latest astronomical events, including those described in this What's Up in the Sky program. There is also a free downloadable PDF for your offline usage. You can also find out more about upcoming talks and activities organized by the Astronomical Society of Penang, as well as enjoy beautiful photos by our members in the members gallery. So please visit our new website, astronomicalsocietyofpenang.com. So with that, let us begin talking about our evening sky events for November 2021. We begin the month with the galactic core of our Milky Way galaxy sinking into the west right after the sun has set. And towards the end of the month, the galactic core will sink further and further westwards. So for those who are interested in astrophotography and taking photos of the Milky Way's galactic core, the galactic core will be bidding a farewell in the month of November. Of course, because it is low near the horizon, there might be some interesting compositions that you may take advantage of. In the meantime, it is also a good opportunity to look for the constellation of Scorpius that is hanging very low over the western horizon right after the sun sets. The teapot of Sagittarius is now in the tea-pouring orientation as well. The Milky Way galaxy will be slanting from the southwest, north through the summer triangle, and towards the constellations of Cassiopeia and Perseus that are rising in the northeast. The moon will glide past the brightest planets, starting with Venus on November the 8th, where they will be just under 3 degrees or 6 full moon widths apart. The moon will be a waxing 18% illuminated crescent, and together with Venus will form a lovely pairing in the early evening. If we observe this conjunction from a dark sky location, we can add the Milky Way into the view, forming a striking contrast of distances between the three objects of the moon, Venus, and the Milky Way. So the moon will be just about 1.2 light seconds away, Venus will be about 5 light minutes away, and the galactic core of the Milky Way galaxy is 26,000 light years away. The difference scale is vast, and we can use an analogy of comparing the size of the thickness of a human hair to the distance between the city of Georgetown in Penang and Hat Yai in South Thailand, or in terms of actual distances or sizes, 0.2 millimeters versus 200 kilometers, or that is 200,000 meters. So the distance scales are vast. The moon will proceed to meet up with Saturn and Jupiter progressively on November 10th and 11th, heading into its rendezvous with the Earth's penumbral shadow from Penang's vantage point on November 19th. The November 19th penumbral lunar eclipse is actually not very clearly visible, mostly because when the moon rises, it is already in the penumbra of the Earth and actually exiting the penumbra. So the penumbral shadow is also not very deep. The moon will appear just slightly fainter than the normally lit moon. So what is actually interesting with this penumbral eclipse moonrise at about 7:01 p.m. local time is that just 5 degrees or half a fist width to the left or north direction of the moon is the famous star cluster of the Seven Sisters or the Pleiades. And this will form an excellent photo op. If you have a camera and perhaps about 100mm lens, full frame, give this view a try. I wish you good luck. I will certainly be trying myself, and if you have a star tracker, I believe that will help in terms of capturing the dimmer stars. I hope to see your beautiful photos somewhere on the web. The penumbral eclipse will end at 8:03 p.m. The rest of the evening sky of November is rather uneventful. After the full moon on November 19th, there is nothing really interesting, so we will move to the morning sky. During the early part of the month, the moon will be a beautiful waning crescent in the east just before sunrise. Mercury also rises just before the sun in November after its greatest western elongation in late October. So the morning sky would see the winter Milky Way arcing overhead before sunrise, and of course they will pass through the famous winter constellations of Orion, Auriga, Gemini, Taurus, Canis Minor, Canis Major, etc. And the bright stars of Sirius and Canopus really highlight the beautiful starlit morning sky. Okay. Of course, Sirius is the brightest star in the sky, and Canopus is the second brightest star in the sky. So do keep watch for them. You can find Sirius by using the three belt stars of Orion and pointing southeastwards. You'll come to a bright star. That bright star will be Sirius. If you pointed the opposite direction, you would come to the famous open cluster of the Pleiades or the Seven Sisters. The November morning sky remains quite uneventful until mid-November, where the Leonid Meteor Shower will peak on the night of the 17th to 18th of November. The Leonid Meteor Shower is called the Leonids because the meteors from this meteor shower will appear to come out of the constellation of Leo. However, this year we do not expect an intense peak and just expect about 10 to 15 meteors per hour. In addition, the moon is near its full phase and sets around 6 a.m., all but ensuring a rather mediocre display of the Leonids on the night of its expected peak. However, all is not lost. The Earth actually enters the Leonid meteor stream from November 6th and exits on November 20th. So we could still observe some Leonid meteors between November 6th and November 20th. The meteors are in fact debris left behind by the comet Tempel-Tuttle that orbits the Sun once every 33 years. During its last passage in 2001, sky watchers were treated to a truly spectacular meteor storm of over 3,600 meteors per hour. That is about 1 meteor per second. We certainly hope that in the near future, during the next passage of Comet Tempel-Tuttle in about 2032, there will be a great Leonid storm, perhaps similar to the one in 1966, which saw about 40 to 50 meteors per second. Viewers reported that they felt like they were falling towards the sky, and that's how spectacular that Leonid meteor storm in 1966 was. We could only hope perhaps that will happen in 2032. As the month of November 2021 ends, the moon re-enters the morning skies as it wanes towards the next new moon in early December. And that will be all for interesting sky events for November 2021 from Penang. For this month, We would also like to bring back our constellation and binocular highlights of the month. So for this month, the highlight constellation will be the constellation of Cassiopeia. The constellation itself is not very hard to find. The easiest way to find Cassiopeia from a dark sky location is to just follow the Milky Way from the core through the summer triangle and further north towards the northeast, and we will come to sort of a flattened M shape that is the main stars of the constellation of Cassiopeia. I like to refer it to the McDonald's advertisement in the sky. The constellation can also be found if you're familiar with the location of the Andromeda Galaxy. It will just be north of the Andromeda Galaxy. So if that's your preferred way to find it, that's totally fine too. Also, if you have a star chart app such as Sky Safari, you can use the star chart app, of course, to help you find and locate the constellation of Cassiopeia. The constellation of Cassiopeia has 5 main stars. We can refer to these 5 main stars by just their Greek official name: Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, and Epsilon. Nestled among these 5 stars are many beautiful star clusters and nebulae. Most popular of the star cluster near the Cassiopeia M, but actually not in the constellation of Cassiopeia, is the double cluster NGC 869 and NGC 884. They are actually in the neighboring constellation of Perseus, and the view of these clusters through binoculars are always a beautiful sight. For me, it reminds me of 2 sunny-side-up fried eggs. Perhaps I'm always hungry when I look at these star clusters. But do check it out. It's not very hard to find. They are very bright and easily locatable in binoculars. Meanwhile, another very popular object in Cassiopeia is NGC 457, or more affectionately known as the Owl Cluster. So NGC 457 can be found just off Delta Cassiopeia, and the star cluster gets its name from its appearance, with stars forming a pattern that look like an owl with outstretched wings, or ET getting ready for a hug, so some call it the ET cluster. There are 2 bright stars that look like eyes, and of course outstretched hands or outstretched wings that gives the ET cluster name or the owl cluster name. So this is a very interesting object that is visible even in binoculars. However, a small telescope would be ideal to bring out more detail in the shape of the cluster. Another interesting object to look for in binoculars is the small open cluster M103. And M103 is also right next to Delta, but almost the opposite direction from NGC 457, or the Owl Cluster. The small cluster is visible in binoculars. However, at least a small telescope would be ideal in bringing out more details in the cluster. For astrophotographers looking for photographic targets, the Heart and Soul Nebula are certainly popular to photograph. The Heart Nebula is IC 1805 and the Soul Nebula is IC 1848. These are their designations in the index catalog for nebula. Also worth imaging is the Pac-Man Nebula NGC 281, just off of Alpha Cassiopeia. All these 3 nebula, the Heart and Soul and the Pac-Man Nebula, are H2 regions. So if we want to image this nebula, we should use a H-alpha filter, a hydrogen alpha filter, and ideally a modified camera or monochrome camera. Finally, for this month, some interesting comets are in the sky. So if one is up for the challenge, these comets are actually relatively bright at about 8th magnitude or even 7th. The 2 comets are 67P Churyumov Gerasimenko at magnitude 8 and drifting from Gemini into Cancer during the month of November 2021. And the other comet is C2021 A1 Leonid that will move along the constellation boundaries of Canis Venatici and Coma Berenices from Ursa Major. So right here we do have a couple of star maps that I copied from Sky and Telescope that shows the positioning of the comets each day from October until early next year. So do use these finder charts to help locate these comets. Why are these comets interesting? First of all, at magnitude 8, it is considered pretty reasonably bright, and comets are well known to be quite random in their behavior. There are chances for outbursts as the comets get closer to the sun and heat up. There could be explosions on the core, or the comet could split up, resulting in some very interesting events, perhaps the comet brightening up dramatically. So do keep an eye on these comets when you have the opportunity. Binoculars are certainly required to look for these comets. A telescope would be very helpful as well. You can look for a faint fuzzy patch in the sky. If you are more into astrophotography, you may also take a photo of these comets. At magnitude 8, they are pretty bright and pretty easily picked up in photographs. Normally, comets would appear greenish in a photograph, so they are pretty easily identifiable in photos. And this concludes our November What's Up in the Sky program. I hope you find this program helpful and enjoy the content. We'll see you again next month. Please remember to like and subscribe our Astronomical Society of Penang Facebook and YouTube pages. Please don't forget to visit our new website, astronomicalsocietyofpenang.com. We hope you have clear skies. See you next month. Bye.